Welcome back to the show. I'm your host Rashid Al-Omari, and today I'm so privileged to have with us our telco CPU CTO, Mariam. So Mariam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rashid.
Thank you for being with us. So you're like hidden gem within the organization, and definitely you're a public speaker. So could you please introduce yourself to the audience, to our followers? Who's Mariam?
Yeah, of course, happy to. I'm the CTO for our service provider and edge business unit. And basically this spans over our telco products and what we have in the service provider space. It also includes our SD-WAN and SASE offering and edge, which we're very excited about because our belief is everything's kind of moving over to the edge and everything's going to be an edge compute storage or something at some point.
Okay, so welcome to the show, Mariam.
Thank you.
I know that you have been addressing, let's say, over a panel the first day in Mobile World Congress around the Open RAN and the promise of the Open RAN. So for our audience, our followers, if you just can simplify for us, what's Open RAN?
Yeah, I know, and this is an interesting question because depending on who you ask, everybody has a different definition of Open RAN. So let me just be as comprehensive as possible because Open RAN's become a very overarching term towards several concepts. What was previously kind of thought of as open interfaces, so whether that's your open front haul or F1, it's open interfaces in your RAN. Okay. But it's also become about virtualization or OCloud or vRAN, either one of them. It's about the software and hardware decoupling. It's about going and having telco cloud platforms to support this software and hardware decoupling. And it's also become about programmability, Open RAN, because the RIC also is the role known as the RAN intelligent controller, also kind of gets grouped up with this whole concept, and that's because of the multiple efforts that are going on in standards bodies and everything around in our industry on how it started with Open RAN, then the O-RAN Alliance, and then the O-RAN Alliance also now is defining the RIC, and then there's also the service management and orchestration, the SMO, and multiple other things. So we're talking about a very, very large evolution and revolution of our RAN.
So, and with that kind of evolution and revolution, like you described it, what is the expected outcomes and why it's important, at this point of time in the industry?
For multiple reasons. I mean, besides just the innovations that it brings and the doors it opens up, there's actually cost benefits.
Okay.
There's supply chain diversification. I mean, supply chain diversification is gonna allow everyone to choose what they want or swap what they want. There's actually much better resource management of your whole ecosystem. Okay. There's also this hardware-software decoupling. You're able to upgrade software a lot faster than hardware. So it's going to bring a lot of change. And that change needs to come through a lot of the operators taking the funding, jumping in, and they got to jump in. Back in the days, operators would jump in a lot easier. When it was 3G and we wanted like the 100 kilobits per second, everybody was asking, why do I need 100 kilobits per second on my phone, right? Because our highest data usage was text messaging. Yes. And nobody knew, it's like, why are we doing this? But yet the operators jumped in. They built those networks, they bought the billions of dollars of spectrum, they spent the billions of dollars.
And we're benefiting from that.
And then the iPhone was born, the smartphone was born, right? Yeah. So today we need that jump in. We need to have, the jump in, the funding, the risk taking, and the believing, and then we'll see a lot more unleash.
Yeah, but isn't that will have a change in the way operators they operate? Because as you know, Mariam, they used to have outsourced that business to the NIPS, and now if we're asking them to get into, let's say, that diverse, ecosystem, that's number one. Secondly, to do the integration touch points, as well to own the architecture. Isn't that something new to the operators? They used to do before and then they outsource it, and now we're asking them to bring it back. How is their appetite in going that route, based on your discussions?
Rashid, you and I have listened to the operators, and you've been hearing this from them. Look, every time you do something with benefits and something that will unleash something, there will be two things. One, some things will be hard to do, okay? Nothing comes easy. And basically, to your point, sometimes you got to go back to your starting point. yes, system integration is a question right now. End-to-end sort of system integration or certification of an open RAN. All of these are concepts that in the market we're talking about, in the supply chain, and all of these different entities as opposed to a single neck to choke. These are all valid, and but that's where the benefits outweigh what the change and evolvement. And I mean, there needs to be some growing pains in this, and that's fine, because you have to see what the outcome is. And by the way, it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, it will take time, right?
It'll take time, yeah.
So now for operators that they are experiencing this, I know that there are. This is already in production. Some of the operators already benefiting that approach. The question always comes: is it just only greenfield, brownfield, and how is the appetite really into getting into jump to it, like what you said? So what you see in reality in the market?
Well, I mean, it's a truth that a greenfield operator that's starting from a clean sheet of paper is obviously better positioned to take advantage of anything new.
Yep.
Whether it's the Open RAN or whether it's on the core side or whether it's just the entire network architecture, we're just talking about an amazing opportunity here to take advantage of all of these new things that have happened. So, but for brownfields, right? I mean, this is going to be more of a path and a journey.
Okay.
And they have really good networks right now that are offering, helping you and I talk over here, right?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
and so basically, they really have to have an evolution, a migration, and a journey towards it. And they can start with different. They can start from the SMO. They can start from different places to evolve, and it doesn't have to be overnight. So when you do have a network, you have to be cautious and careful. You have to make sure you monetize off of it. So their decision point is different, but they're going to also get there.
Yeah, and I remember that you always said we should draw a line, right?
Yeah.
And that the investment around investing in the future. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we have to kind of, if we do not fund our future, and if we do not believe in our future that being funded, I don't think on anything that we're doing, whether it's Open RAN, things will make a difference. So I really am encouraged by this show, by what I've seen, by the thing that you and I have heard, right?
Yeah.
It's been exciting to make sure that that this happens.
It happens, yeah. And now for operators, they wanted to experience this. Based on, and also just to have the early entry, because we don't want to just be in the BOC mode. We have to go to production mode. From your experience, how long does that take freely to embrace and then put it in a production?
It really depends on the network. It really depends on the deployment. In a greenfield operator, Dish issued an RFP in 2019, and now they're going to be 70% of the population by 2023, right? So and then their speed has been amazing. Now, another operator could have a smaller region or a larger region, or just the morphology of what they're serving will have different speeds of varying. If you are a brownfield operator, there's absolutely things that could be done faster, and then there's things that take time. So, for example, if you get some new spectrum,
Yep.
that's a great time to take advantage of all the new things, and that could be done really fast. I mean, the same journey of what we say, making sure the RU is there, and then the rest of the infrastructure. So it's going to vary.
Yeah. So, Mariam, what's your advice for the CTOs or CTIOs of the service providers around the globe, and they're listening to you? You've been really the for spearhead of that change. You're our CTO, and they are like your counterpart when it comes to. What's your message to them? What you have to tell them? Really, if you have the airtime, they're listening to you. What's your message to them?
I mean, take risk. And also, it's okay to take the risk, and it's also okay to be very realistic about ecosystems that have an evolution time. Nothing's going to happen overnight. So if you hear things that about whether it's Open RAN or anything else that still need work to be done, be realistic about it. Talk about it with your CEOs. Set the stage, because a lot of times what I've seen is the non-CTOs for some reason thought like when all of this happened overnight we're going to get an Open RAN, everything's going to be evolving to it. This takes time. Every new concept takes a maturity time. So do it, take the risk, explain to others the maturity timeline of this, and funding. Make sure you're funded.
And in that funding note, is it? Have you seen like the CEOs and the board because of that investment as well, the risk appetite? Are they going that route, or still the CTOs has really to work harder to convince like the upper management for the funding needed?
I think the CTOs have to work harder, right? I mean, because you're also, there's so many things coming together. Let's just even say on experience and expertise, right? Telco met cloud. So now you have to define this differently and explain this differently. You have to explain the telco side and the cloud side, and both of them merging together. So typically it's, even from forget about the CEOs who are more high-level people, even our workforce development is lacking this merging of understanding and expertise across these two, and being able to kind of talk about software and also telco at the same time. So definitely, CTO's jobs become harder. Make sure that you're up to the trends on both sides of the technology. If you're a cloud person, learn the telco side. If you're a telco person, learn the cloud side, and then make sure you explain it to your CEO.
Okay, so thank you, Mariam, for being with us today. It's really a pleasure to have you and to give this insights. For our listeners and viewers, like Mariam is always available, and we also been in a couple of customer meetings which you share humongous amount of let's say data points as well, and architectural, and why this is important for operator. So stay tuned with us, and if you need any information from Mariam, just don't hesitate. You can send it through the comments or through the channels, and we'll make sure that we'll reach out to you. Thank you, Mariam, for being with us.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.